and Jalen Hurts,
Yes,
are they both the real deal? Like it, and if so, who do you like over the other? Like now we let you introduce stuff, so we got to let you go last. So and since we finished off with you, go ahead. Which one do you feel like they both are the real deal? And then who do you go with personally?
Well, I think they're both really good. The real deal is yet to be determined. Both of them, I think they both have a lot of work they need to do. I like Jalen Hurts more because he can be more impactful off of what he brings to the table, right? Dual threat, the guy, he's a machine, right? Dual threat quarterback, can take off, can run with the best of them. His issue is in throwing, right? Can he be a consistent thrower of the football? And if that answer is yes, then, we're talking about a guy who can move up into the upper echelon because the talent's there. The consistency just has to follow. And that's been the story for him over the last few years. I mean, if you look at last year, I give the guy a lot of credit simply because he drugged that Philadelphia team to the playoffs and they weren't that good. And, I didn't really like the talk about how they were, media has this thing they do where they make something true that's not necessarily true, right? Oh, does he need to be replaced?
Yep.
Oh, should they be looking for another quarterback? Absolutely not. Give the guy time to develop. And it looks like they're doing that. They're doing the right thing, giving him weapons. And, remains to be seen how far they can go. I mean, Tua situation. I was talking to Fred about this because Fred was on the Tua bandwagon as soon as they got Tyreek Hill. And I was like, man, as long as they put the right system in place for the guy to be effective, he can do great things because he got two of the fastest players in the NFL on top of a decent running game with a pretty good defense. So they put the right pieces around him too. So it's just a matter of seeing what each of these guys can do going forward. But if I had to pick one right now, I would take Jalen Hurts just off of the sheer talent of him, not necessarily the situation around him.
Okay. Now, Freddie, because Ant kind of said something, and it caught my ear a little bit. Now he said Jalen Hurts is a dual threat quarterback. How I read that is Tua not. So I mean, like how one. Do you agree with Ant on they both? You still got to wait and see on the real deal part. But you go with Jalen though on your decision. If you had to choose, do you agree with Ant on that part?
All right, so here we go. Because he said pretty much everything he said was fact. I think the Eagles did a great job since last year of creeping Jalen Hurts into a franchise quarterback role. Now, I think the first two games are as good as he's played, and especially for fantasy players. I know you always got to incorporate that now because everybody looks at fantasy. It's even better from fantasy standpoint. Now, I'm of the belief that you can't be running the ball 17 times as a quarterback, 17 times a game. I think the first game he had like 18 passing attempts and 18 completions, 17 rushes. Like that's crazy to me. So I feel like what he's doing now is not sustainable.
Okay.
While also I feel like his coach has done a good job at knowing that that's going to be the way they can win in the short term. Until he becomes this guy that can really, really sling that football. Because right now, I don't think he's necessarily a dangerous dual threat. I think a lot of teams just are putting up pretty good defensive game plans based around stopping him from running. Because he doesn't look to pass, really. I mean, now you have A.J. Brown as well, who is unguardable. But if you look at him, he's not even allowed to play to develop. And a lot of their runs for him are design runs, which is crazy. It seems like he could sustain. They're winning like that, so it seems fine for now. But I just don't think, again, that makes much sense down the line. So I guess I'm saying all that to say that is he a dangerous dual threat? I don't think so yet because I don't think his passing game is where it needs to be. Right? Okay. I think a lot of teams are coming out with the wrong game plan where they're not taking away his running ability early. And of course, if you watch football, if you start running that ball effectively, that sets up play action. That course opens up the pass game as well because now you bring guys down in the box and stuff like that. So I think that's more so what's going on. Now I think if he end up playing, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but if they end up playing a Tampa or a team like that, that's going to shut your run game down, right? Even like a Green Bay, so to speak, right? They're going to shut your run game down out the gate, Buffalo, right? now you got to be a passer who's able to complete 25 to 35 to 30 passes per game, right? Or if so I want to see him in that element. Now with Tua, on the other hand, to answer your question, I think Tua can run. I don't think he needs to run because he gets rid of the ball super fast. And kind of alluded to earlier, I'm high on Tua. Last year, I had some questions, but I was also impressed because of what he was able to do with Jalen Waddle. Like what Jalen Waddle was doing last year, he was annihilating teams. And it wasn't, people say, Tua got it. He doesn't have a big arm. He's not able to get the ball downfield. Listen, two things. One, he was hitting Jalen Waddle with quick slants and all these short routes to where he's just getting the ball in these guys' hands. That's all you have to do, right? Get the ball in these super hyper athletes' hands and let them do the rest. So he's good at getting his reads, right? Going through his progressions, getting the ball to where he needs to get it to. And we saw that with Jalen Waddle, who put up some crazy numbers last year for a rookie, right? Now you have identical twins in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think these two players are the two, and I'm going to go out right now and say something that may get some pushback, but I don't care. I think it's the most dangerous duo of receivers in the history of the NFL. You can talk Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. You can talk Isaac Torrey-Hope. You can talk Randy Moss and Chris Carter. These two dudes are uncheckable. They're way too fast. They're great route runners. They have amazing hands. They make big plays. They can do everything. They have no flaws in their game. And they don't really drop many passes. Tyreek Hill is catching stuff in traffic. So I don't think Tua needs to be a dual threat. Can he run? I think he can if he needs to, but his accuracy is amazing, and he's showing that now that he has some true weapons around him. So I'll definitely take Tua.
Okay. I was gonna say I personally would go Tua, and it kind of just goes back to the college days too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but Tua stole the man's job, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, I you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how I look at it. All right, so like for you, knowing that Tua again stole the man's job.
He did, yeah.
Like how
send him out of the
who do you mean with? And won the championship.
Send him off the team.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's crazy because I didn't think they were gonna win it with Jalen that year. I'm just saying, but they won it with this random guy named Tua. Like, how you feeling now? Like, did Jalen kind of change that narrative, or is Tua still kind of on top of you?
It's a mixture of both. And the only reason why I say that because look at both and quarterbacks played the first two games of the season. Mm-hmm. Just keeping the stat. That's number one. Number two, Jalen literally had pretty much week one. Jalen literally won the game versus Detroit. If it wasn't for him, Detroit would have given the Eagles at the first L of the season.
But can we really put a lot of stock in this? I'm just saying. But go ahead. I
gotta agree with him though. I think Detroit and New York are two teams are gonna surprise people this year. Tough team.
Exactly.
All right. So instead of winning 3 games, they win 5. That's shocking.
Okay, right, but no. I mean, literally seeing it up close Sunday.
Yeah.
Tua is just a hair notch over Jalen.
Okay, so you go Tua.
The only reason why I say that because I agree. Like, name another quarterback that got 2 fast, deep threats, game chase wideouts. And I forgot. What is a QB's favorite best friend? A tight end. And he also got one of the best tight ends in the game too. You got a good running game. Two fast track stars, and you got a safety blanket, and you got a real good defense as well. I'm taking Tua. But Sunday will be his first test when they play against the Bills.
Okay. So we gotta hold off on a little reservation when we see Tua go up against the Bills then, and then I guess we gotta find Jalen Hurts going up against somebody. Let's see if I can.
Trey, that schedule is full for Philly. Philly might end this year with 12 or 13 wins, bro. And I'm not even kidding. They got the Cardinals. Okay. They obviously got the divisional games. I don't see much on this schedule that makes me feel like Philly is going to struggle, and Jalen Hurts might put up crazy numbers. Simply because this schedule toughness is not high at all.
So can we say that Jalen Hurts could be in the MVP discussion this year with like crazy stats? No. I'm just saying,
no. The narrative MVP was won. MVP was won yesterday by Josh Allen.
On your team, you're viewed as the person who's kind of dragging the team along, and people like to favor the quarterbacks too. Why does he not get the nod for the MVP award, especially if they're a high seed?
I got an answer for you. Yep. So one, he's in the NFC. There's no attention over there in the NFC right now, right? All the fun and excitement is in the AFC because all the Super Bowl contending teams are in the AFC. So you have Josh Allen over there. You have Patrick Mahomes over there. You have Herbert over there. You have some of these guys that are going to put up big, gaudy numbers, going to win a lot of games, going to be on national TV more, right? And they're going to do it for whatever it's worth, whether if we want to respect it or not. And Lamar's going to be here as well. They're going to do it the conventional way that these older, archaic, right, football minds are like, who are voting for these awards, right, are going to say, we like these guys. We've seen it happen in the past with some guys who didn't win MVP, who look like Jalen Hurts, who played like Jalen Hurts. But I think Jalen Hurts even has slightly less of the path. And yesterday was a brilliant game offensively. Don't get me wrong. That's the best game I've ever seen him play, right, from a complete standpoint of being able to pass and run the ball. Minnesota looked putrid after looking great versus my Packers, which made me mad. But I think it's going to be tough for him to be in that consideration because of all those things going against him. They're only talking about AFC this year.
And it's a narrative-driven award. Like, we know that. Like, the storyline got to be attached to it, right? You look at Josh Allen, who's going to put up monster numbers. The storyline dates back to Kansas City, right? Oh, look how they lost, the 13 seconds, etc. Then you go Patrick Mahomes. The storyline's there. Oh, there's no Tyreek Hill. Mahomes is going to struggle, or will he struggle? How will this team look? Then you go Lamar Jackson, right? The contract issue. Yep. The man should be paid. Lamar is like 50-18 or some crazy record like that against the rest of the league that no one talks about. And there's a storyline there. Mm-hmm. So it's like those three storylines alone overpower anything Jalen Hurts could do, unless he just puts up godly numbers, which the first three guys I named are going to do the same, but they got a storyline attached to it.
And could I add one thing to that?
They got a storyline too. I just want to say for the record, I'm not trying to argue the case for Hurts definitively winning the MVP award. I'm just asking because you said 12 games, so I'm assuming you're going to be a top tier team then. And with that, and if you're throwing up like wild stats, they do have a narrative. They do have their own storyline as well. So, like, I don't know. Like, I would think the Eagles, being one of the top teams in the NFL, like going to the playoff, record-wise, that could say, "Hey, big storyline MVP." No one would expect it. I know I didn't. I wouldn't.
Could I add this just to the end of kind of what I was going to say real quick, and I'll pass right back to you guys. I'm of the belief that what they're doing now, they're halfway through the season, that's going to disappear. People are going to catch on to that. And now it's going to say, let's make Jalen Hurts pass the ball 40 times a game. And he's not the most accurate. A lot of games he finishes right. You talk about Carson Wentz and some of these other quarterbacks, right? People talk about Lamar Jackson, who completed 66% of his passes 1 year, and they were still saying he couldn't pass, right? They still give him that narrative. But Jalen Hurts is a 50% completion type of guy. When you take off on them running lanes, right? Load that box. I mean, you have A.J. Brown, who can beat anybody one-on-one, right? You got Dallas Goedert, a good route running tight end, big body. You got Devontae Smith, one of the best route runners in the league, even as his second year, right? You got the guys. Can you be accurate enough to have a high completion percentage later? I would say it's going to happen midway through the season. That's when adjustment is going to come. Mm-hmm. The guy's getting jammed at the line, the box is loaded. What are you going to do? That's what I want to see. And I think that's when we're going to see who Jalen Hurts really is. And I think his numbers are going to take a dip. Because you take away his legs, you take away half that offense.
Here's where it gets fun. Because
Matter of fact,
look at the Eagles' schedule. There's 3 games that stand out. They got the Packers, the Saints at home, and the Steelers. That entire schedule from that point forward, it's winnable. They got like the Texans, the Jaguars, the Colts. Like,
I don't know though. Jaguars look all right now.
Matter of fact,
The Texans defense look all right
and then
now.
Jags get a little tricky. I don't like going on FanDuel and betting against the Jags sometimes.
matter of fact,
Yo, the Jags look all right this year.
They look a little tricky.
honestly, I said minus. I say, like the man said, minus the future NFC, least whatever the case may be.
Dallas defense this year.
I said, just like your man said, if they can survive those 3, especially the Jacksonville game, which some people want to call it a trap game. It depends on where it's at. And then of course they got your annual rivalry game with Pittsburgh, and you got the Packers. If you can get those 3 games and the rest of your division is completely trash, he really got to take his numbers to a subpar mid MVP level. If you really want to talk about like the whole conference in general, New Orleans still got questions. Tampa Bay still got questions. San Fran still got questions. And the Rams still got questions.
Yeah.
This is the year. I forgot the Packers still got questions.
I mean, a lot of teams got questions. A lot of teams.
Yeah, the whole NFC. The NFC is up for grabs this year, right?
It is.
NFC is up for grabs.
It's up
And
for grabs. Yeah.
yeah, and so I have no idea. I'm a Packer. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the league still to me. So, and that's my team as well. Their defense is good. They got all the things, right? So they're bound to get there one year, hopefully this year. But I'm going to go with them because I feel like if there's a year they could get there, it'll be this year. Now, you got teams that can get hot late. That's usually what happens, right? You talk about most of the teams that won the Super Bowl and made it there got hot late. I think San Fran just became another favorite again, right? We're not talking about them.